Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up, everybody can hear me. My name is Bakari Sellers. I'm an attorney at the Strom Law Firm in Columbia, South Carolina. But today I come here with a joy in my heart. The reason being is because when you go to law school and you want to practice civil rights law, you want to go about bringing justice to families like the ones that we represent here today. I want to recognize all of the families of the 9 victims of the Charleston massacre. Some of those aren't here with us today, but they're here with us in spirit, and I want to first recognize all of those families. I also want to recognize all of the survivors of that night's horrific violence. We have 2 of those survivors here with us today. Many of you all may remember I shed so many tears on all the networks after my good friend Clem and 8 others were murdered in that church. But with the great work of the Biden administration, and I want to call out a name specifically, Vanita Gupta, who helped us get to this point where we can actually have justice for these families. This is what the law is about. We cannot bring back those 9 victims. We cannot erase the scars that those survivors have. But what we do here today as lawyers and these families is we say we stand on justice. The 2 most important words in the English language are the words thank you. So thank you, Merrick Garland. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you to this administration. But even more importantly, the reason that we're here today is because these victims were the best of us. And so I want us all to lift up Polly Shepard, Felicia Sanders, who aren't here, and their relatives, those young ladies who went through so much. And I want to bring up Gerald Malloy, who's a state senator from South Carolina, and he had the privilege of representing the Pinckney family. And then you're going to hear from 2 of the most awesome young ladies you'll ever meet in your life. They are the daughters of Clemente Pinckney. And then you'll hear from his better half, Miss Jennifer Pinckney. And we also have with us Reverend Thompson, who lost his wife that night, who was leading the Bible study. It's easy to find black folk on Wednesday night. Wednesday night we had Bible study. Well, this Bible study caused so much pain, but it also led us to come together. And that Bible study caused us so much pain and so much hurt, but it showed us also that things like justice can be a verb. With that, I'll bring up Senator Malloy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Bakari. This would not have happened without the help of our friend Bakari Sellers, and I want to thank all of you for being here. I've been in the Senate for about 19 years now, and Clemente Pinckney was my senior senator, even though he was a lot younger than me, about 12 years. I've had the joy of my professional life to be able to be his lawyer during his life and to represent his wife and children. But before I introduce Milana to you all, I want to thank the President and particularly Attorney General for his work here. What the Attorney General has done is that he's put an emphasis on civil rights. He's carrying out the mission of the Department of Justice. Judge Merrick Garland, without his passion, him carrying out the mission, then we would not be here, and his tremendous staff. I will close by just saying this. Clemente Pinckney was an incredible human being. We never know what he would have become. He was indeed a prodigy, but he leaves behind his wife and children, and it's worth saying his last words on the Senate floor in South Carolina. He says that God teaches us to love all, and in the end, that justice will be done. And I think today, this acknowledgement that this is a just resolution, and I want to thank all of those that have been involved, particularly the lawyers that have been helpful, and I pay tribute to all the survivors and the other lawyers that are not here. And without further ado, I would like to bring up Milana Pinckney, who was actually a survivor. She's only 12 years old. Let her address you.
Hi, just as Gerald Malloy was just speaking so eloquently, I just like to say thank you to everybody who has come together today just to celebrate not just these 9 lives, but I guess every single person in the United States. 6 years old when the massacre happened, I didn't know that my father was such a big inspiration to people all over the world. So something I want to leave you with today here is just because you came from nothing doesn't mean that you can't be something. Thank you. And now I'm bringing up my sister, Eliana.
It's always hard to talk after my sister because she's so young and so fantastic and amazing. I'm so proud of the young woman that she's growing into. I just first wanted to say thank you to my family and to all of the people standing behind me who have supported me and my family over the last 6 years. It very clearly is not an easy journey. It's already so hard to lose someone you love, but it's even harder to grow up without a father, knowing that he lost his life in a place that he devoted his entire life to. That is something that is so hard to grasp with and so hard to understand and so hard to grow from. But it's so important that I've had a community behind me who have helped me get to the place that I am now. No amount of compensation will ever replace my father's life, but through the help and the opportunities that the government and the people standing behind me have provided, it allows me and my sister to have the opportunity to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that my father's legacy doesn't go away, to make sure that we are doing everything we can with the rest of our lives, living to our fullest potential, and making sure that his legacy stays uplifted. I've spent the rest of my life from the day that he died till the day that I die, making sure that I'm doing whatever I can to make my father proud, to make sure that everything he fought for doesn't go unspoken, doesn't go forgotten. So I just, again, wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who has made it possible for us to be here, for me to still be living the way that I am, for me to have the opportunity to be happy with my family and these people who love me so much. So yeah, thank you again so much.
I too want to thank you. It's hard to come after my two daughters. I always tell everyone that I have the best of both worlds. One child looks like Clemente, and the other one act like Clemente. And so I always say that I have Clemente, right here to talk to me, to look at, and so forth. He will be missed, along with all of the others that didn't survive that night. We still continue. We still must go forth. I still must be mother to both of my girls, and they have made me so proud. I, too, was a survivor, along with Milana. And so not only do I represent Clemente, but also as being a survivor. I just want to thank everyone that was involved and participated in this. I want to thank Gerald Malloy, who has been there with me and my girls from the very beginning. I thank everyone for the support and the love that was just spread throughout the whole country. You've been there not only for me and my girls, but for the other survivors and the other family members. Just the support and love, and I want to thank you. And I know that, even though Clemente is not here with us physically, I know spiritually he's with us, and I know that he's smiling down on us right now. He'll always have my heart, and I'll always love him.
Good morning. We just give God the glory for this beautiful and special day to be here. And we thank President Biden and Attorney General Garland for the opportunity to express to the world that in spite of the tragedy, in spite of the fact that I lost my wife and the 8 others at the Emmanuel tragedy, it brought a city together, it brought a community together, it brought a church together, and it's bringing a nation together. And so their death is not in vain. And we thank everybody. We thank everybody in this world for all the letters, all the support, and all the prayers. And we just ask that you will continue. You continue in this mode to do what we did in Charleston, and that is to forgive and to love, so that we can come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. The settlement that we've announced today is $88 million. It represents one of the largest settlements of a collection of civil rights cases in this country's history. That would not be possible. Let me say two things before I bring up two other lawyers. Without the great work of a lawyer like Mullins McLeod, I also want to recognize Andy Savage, who is back home in Charleston a little under the weather, and all the lawyers who are a part of this team, Gedney Howe and Alvin Hammer and many others. There are 2 points I want to make briefly. $25 million of these dollars will go to the survivors, and there's a $63 million that will be split amongst those 9 individuals who died. 88 is a weird number because it's enveloped in so much hate. Dylan Roof had 88 on his shoes. Senator Malloy called me the day after we reached an agreement. 88 is steeped in so much white supremacy and hate, and so today we get to give a big, close your ears, Jennifer, a big FU to the white supremacist and racist in this country by saying that we're taking this tragedy that they tried to tear our country apart with and build black communities in generational wealth. Mother?
Thank you, Corey. I'm Mullins McLeod. I'm a lawyer in Charleston, and I served as co-lead counsel in the litigation. And I have been blessed to be involved in some significant cases over the course of my career. None more significant than this because of what it stands for. You know, there is an unfortunate reality in our country, and that is that African Americans have not always seen equal justice in our courts. This settlement, however, is a beacon for all of us and a reminder that justice does exist. And I think what's really important is understanding why justice exists in this case. And it's for 2 reasons. One, these victims are as special a group of people as you'll ever want to meet. Their love, their loss, their faith, and their patience combined with the Department of Justice who was willing to listen, who was willing to hear, and who was willing to compromise. I live in a world where verdicts are why I get up every day. This settlement is far more important and far more meaningful than any verdict because of the willingness of this Department of Justice to do right by this special group of people.
Ronnie Sabb is a state senator as well and represented the Simmons family. Mr. Sabb.
Thank you, Bakari, and thank you all for being here. So much has been said. Let me just say a couple of things and then I'll ease out of your way. First of all, it has been one of the privileges of my life to represent the Simmons family along with Carl Pierce. My client, Mr. Simmons, was 74 years old at the time he died. He had pastored 8 churches over a 35-year period of time, had served our country during the Vietnam War. And when I think about this horrific tragedy, I think about the reaction of these families. They reacted with grace, with amazing grace. And then I think about the reaction of our state in taking down the Confederate flag from our State House grounds. And now I think about the reaction of the Justice Department to bring an amicable solution to this horrific tragedy and this ordeal that this family has experienced. And I say only in America can we use a tragedy for the greater good. And while we cannot bring back the lives lost, while we cannot take away the hurt that continues to permeate not only in Charleston but around these United States of America, we simply say to those persons who would harbor hate in their hearts that hate won't win. Thank you all, and God bless you all.